Hey everyone, welcome
Hi
to
there.
another episode with us, the host of the Peach Room Africa. Hi Esther, how are you doing?
Hi, CD. I'm doing great. How are you?
I am great, I am fantastic. One of the things that I've always been impressed with is how simple but yet beautiful you look on camera. It's like you're made for the camera every single time.
CD, you want to make me blush now. Yes, you won. But for you, it's effortless, you know. You don't have to do anything. You just have to show up on the camera. At least I just have to have the lip. I have to put the lipstick on, but you don't have to do it. So, it is natural for you.
I
Thank you.
think you're way better than I am. But how are you doing today? How are you doing?
I'm doing fine today. Happy Valentine's Day. Um, I don't
Yes.
know what your plans are for today, but I think that to wake up every day, it's a blessing. So Valentine's Day or not, it's beautiful to be here. It's beautiful to see your face. It's also much more beautiful to do this work with you. So yeah, happy Valentine's Day and thank you for being here.
No, thank you very much. I mean, I hold a controversial view on Valentine's, but
Same here. I'm trying to
yeah,
be simply camera. I don't hurt. I don't step on toes.
yeah, because you
Yeah.
don't know who is planning Valentine's for who, right? So,
Exactly.
hey, our listeners, happy Valentine's Day to all of you. Before you before you bite our head off. No, season two of the Peach Room Africa officially kicked off, Esther. But let's go back reflecting to where we both were before we started this journey. We did a whole year of the Pitch Room Africa every single Friday. And sometimes when it was so difficult to show up, we still do anyways. Let's go back, way back before season one, before there was a Pitch Room Africa. Where were you and what made you think it was it was time to come on this exciting but also crazy journey?
See, I mean, I didn't even understand the magnitude of what I was about to get myself into. I didn't have any idea. But like I said, those were my formative years. Pitchroom Africa created a very beautiful foundation for me to be anything I want to be, to speak about anything I wanted to speak about, to delve into aspects that I probably didn't even know I had strength in. So for me, I didn't see any of this happening. I just saw a platform where I was going to contribute, share my experience, hold the hands of other founders, and just help them make a difference. This was just what I thought about. But going in 1 year in, I'm like, oh my God, this is actually bigger than I thought. And I'm up for all the disruptions that is going to happen in 2024. In fact, I've given room for more detours in my life because of Pitch Africa. So yeah, that's what I'll say. How about
Yeah,
you, Cindy?
I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't know how this. I didn't have like it's not like we sat down and then we have like one of those 5 years vision or plan, and then we came together with document and say let's do it. It's remarkable how things just happen in life, right? And then you just move on from there. And I think for me, before the Pitch Room Africa, I've always been in this position wherein I was fed up with the same conversation. Like all of the conversation seems exactly the same. It's one person who is coming talking about how they are doing amazing, and But then I have been an entrepreneur, and so have you, and you and I know how insanely difficult it is from the disappointment that we're having from people who promises us stuff to all the way to even entrepreneurs like ourselves that we're trying to partner with, and nobody's talking about these issues, right? So pitch room for me was like an outlet. So it started off, of course, like a pitching competition, and then it grew very, very intense. And it became like an outlet for me. So at the end of the week, like after I've been bombarded by so many things, I'm looking forward to pitch room to just come blow my mind. More or less, that's how I felt about it. I mean, there were like a lot of instances during the show, and you can tell that we're in, like you can definitely know that this was an. I remember even for you, I remember there was a conversation we were having about the creative industry, and then you were very angry and say, "Is dance not a creative?"
You remember that one? I think it was the guy from Chocolate City that we had on the
Yeah.
seat. The passion in my voice. I had ready problems. He was focused more on the music industry, and he couldn't answer a lot of my questions. So that made me think, okay. And in fact, he threw the questions at me. That Esther, you look like you have the answers to all of these questions. So I understand when you say that Pitchroom Africa became an outlet for you. Imagine if this was more like for creative businesses. Imagine how passionate I would be. It would be more than an outlet for me because I understand the ins and outs of the creative industry. I understand the unique challenges that founders or entrepreneurs in that space deal with every single day. I understand the health implications. I understand the mental implications. I understand every single thing. And so I would also be fed up watching conversations, making it look as if there's nothing really to this. You should just put your mind to it, you can succeed. It's more than that. I mean, it's really, really more than that. And the more people talk about these things, the more it's easier for people coming behind them to understand, what to expect and to prepare themselves adequately than just thinking, oh, if I wake up, I woke up one day city thinking I could build the next unicorn. I crashed, man. I mean, in my crashing, I realized a lot of lessons. Yeah, and I wish that I knew that maybe you bring me one. I should be one of your founders for this year to come talk about the madness of a creative person trying to build a startup with zero experience, even if I finish the best accelerator in the world. And then of course accelerators too, having their own bottlenecks, having their own, having a system in the way they work doesn't help all founders, you know. It's crazy. It's just crazy, Stevie. So I can
So,
imagine. There's so
you know,
much. There's so much. So
I
much.
I definitely agree with you. But there is something you mentioned that I want you did something that was so remarkable and was so impactful.
What's that?
A lot of people did not know this, and I think this is the first time we are officially putting it out there. When
I don't even know.
you sponsored 50 women for the
Oh,
mental health, the dance therapy, and how did that go? It was incredible because like dancing is an outlet, music is an outlet. Like people tend to neglect some of these things. Like how did it go, and how did you feel being able to achieve that? And we did that on the pitch room on our first season.
yeah. I see. First and foremost, I didn't even think that that was a big deal. Thank you for putting that out. Because these are things we do things every single day, and we don't look at it like it's something beautiful or something huge. I remember when I got the award for among the 30 underrepresented um, 30 underrepresented creators to look out for women. Violet Simmons, actually in the UK, an underrepresented trailblazer, right, in that ecosystem, in the African ecosystem. And the lady said, Esther, did you actually do all of these things? And I said, yes. She screamed, this is so much. It's so amazing. And I'm like, okay. Because I'm like, it's normal, right? Normal things that we do every day are so freaking amazing that we have no clue. Just like I'm wondering, what is Sidi about to say again that I did that's so amazing? I didn't know what you're talking about. For the 50 women, they had the experience of a lifetime. It was, I mean, thanks to you, thanks to Pitchroom Africa, thanks to the support that we are very intentional about the well-being of people who are in business, including women as well. It was beautiful. We had women who got healing by just expressing themselves through dance. They didn't need to go for therapy anymore. The event was therapeutic. Having conversations, eating the right kind of food, talking to the right kind of people, connecting deeply with people. They didn't want to go home CD. They didn't want to go home. So
I
the
mean,
next
I saw
event
I
we're
saw the
planning,
pictures. I saw the pictures. The
the
videos.
next event we're planning is a sleepover. We're not going home. We want to bask in that euphoria because the world needs a lot of this, but a lot of people are building things that are going to not just profit them, but profit every other person. I think that's the way to go. Building what is profitable to you, and and the ecosystem and people around you. So thank you for that opportunity and thank you for pointing that out to me as something huge. I didn't think it was so
I
huge.
mean, it is right, and one of the reason why I brought that up is because if we've a lot of the conversations today are focusing on the big things, right? But meanwhile, we have a population that is the fastest growing population in the world, the youthful population in the world. We have the highest number of entrepreneurs every single day. And these are all like we have a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of different individuals doing small things, but nobody gets to talk about them. Nobody gets to focus about them. We focus on the guys that have gone to raise millions because these are the guys that are worthy to be spoken about on social media, on LinkedIn, on Twitter. We talk about like the big players and stuff like that. And the Pitch Room Africa is transitioning to that point. We did a lot of season one. We grilled, well, we grilled and have like really tough conversation with all of those big players. And season two, we are focusing on the underdogs. How are you feeling about that?
See,
The
I
underrepresented.
believe that is the best way to go because there are tons of lessons in failures. There are tons of lessons in detours. There, in as much as we celebrate success, success is made up of a lot of failures. It's made up of a lot of trials and errors. So I think that if we focus on this kind of conversations for this year, it will birth a lot of strength in the ecosystem. It will encourage a lot of people. It will make people not make the same mistakes that other people made. It will bring a lot of education to the ecosystem. We need that one. And then, of course, the underdogs, people who are not known, who are not properly represented in their field or in the work that they are doing. I think this is a laudable project. This is a great vision for this year, and I'm all in for it. I think it's exciting already for me.
One of the conversation we had when we invited OM, who is a very well known investor in the African ecosystem, and one of the things that we talked about is how comes the entrepreneurs that are actually building solid business are not receiving the media outlook, they are not receiving like basically their story are not being told and they are not receiving a lot of the funding compared to the other side of the coin, because most of the other entrepreneurs that are receiving this funding are people that have big profiles on social media and things like that. How is that, how does that even make sense if we are talking about building our ecosystem? So you mentioned that language, right? And one of the things he said, and it was very profound, he said the problem is investors themselves are lazy. Media is lazy. Nobody is going in search of these stories. You have to present yourself. You have to be in the room where everybody is contributing. You have to also put yourself out there and you have to tell your story if nobody is telling your story. And it was a moment of deep reflection for me. And one of the things that came to mind is how many entrepreneurs you know today, Esther, that have the outlets or the ability to even tell their story. How many of them do you know that have access to the doors, to the keys, to the tech cabals, to the big to the big media outlets to be able to access them to help tell their story? How many of them have the funding to be able to even do that, even though they are doing incredibly great things within their community? And that's why the Pitch Room Africa is here. So we are going in search of these people ourselves. You don't need to come find us. We will go find you. But also,
Yeah.
if you can find us anywhere, please reach out. We are doing season two the year of the underdog. So we don't care about the people. We care about everybody, but this season we are focusing more on the people that have failed, the people that are building silently, quietly, the tiny guys, the guys that nobody is talking about, because we believe that this is the year of the underdog. Esther, the term ecosystem. I mean, we are having a whole conversation with one of the Africa's biggest ecosystem players, and we're going to unwrap that conversation about ecosystem. But I wanted to ask you, in terms of like the African ecosystem, genuinely, what are your thoughts? What
See,
what
you
are your
want to
thoughts?
know my I don't know. I don't want to say I don't have thoughts. I do have thoughts. But in the startup ecosystem, there's a lot of, like every other ecosystem, there's a lot of, you know, I won't say dog eat dog. Dog eat dog is there. There's a lot of,
But this
there's
is
a
the
lot of
you can say anything
washing.
you
People
want
are
to.
just washing. People are, people are washing away the truth. There's a lot of winging it. People are winging it. There's a lot of honesty as well. People who are honestly doing their work. There's a lot. It's a mix up of the bad and the good and the evil. All of that is a mix up. For me, I like to always focus on progress over perfection. So I believe that there are remarkable insights to what the ecosystem has achieved so far since the inception of technology. There's been a lot. But also, we see tech being used for good, we see tech being used for evil, we see tech being used to exploit, right? So I would say that for our focus for this year, um, and with the ecosystem in mind, I'm looking forward to something that will not just use the word loosely to say shake the ecosystem, but will redefine what the ecosystem stands for.
Mhm.
We redefine what the ecosystem stands for, represents, and its impact. Truly, that when we're able to, unravel these people, find these people, it actually does something to their community, their current, the existing community they live in. That it does something profound for their business. It does something profound for their families. I'm looking beyond the ecosystem. I'm looking beyond that. I'm looking at the impact of the ecosystem this year. So I have the time to begin. I have the time to begin to speak loosely about the downsides, but I'd rather take my chances and look
Mhm.
at the possibilities in the ecosystem with our goal for this year. I mean, it's looking bright already. I'm having a lot of insights, and I can't wait. See, I
Let,
can't
let,
wait.
let's just explore the thoughts about
Yeah.
impact. And I know you don't like to be put on the spot, but again, this is why we're having this conversation anyways. you know, you when we look at impact, right, and the work that you've done, and the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're listening from, the reason why I'm bringing this is because Esther has been the one person that has done incredible amounts of work in building and uplifting the mental capacity of women entrepreneurs, especially in Nigeria. Like, I cannot emphasize how important this is, right? Because you're talking about women that are operating in like in a very, like, the system is against them. That's the best way to put it, right? The system is against them. It's always, they have it like 10 times harder and everything. But we always say just keep going, like break the glass ceiling, just keep going. You get there someday and everything. There's a moment when you wanted to stop. Let's talk about that moment. The moment where you thought this is not enough. The moment where you felt you were losing yourself. What
Why do
kept
you feel like putting the spotlight on me? That was not what I was supposed to talk about today. See, you're putting me on the spotlight again.
No,
And
because it's
now
such
I'm
an
having
important
trust.
story that
I'm
people
having
need
trust.
to
I'm
know.
having
People,
trust issues. Hey, hey,
it's
can I
such an
speak to the
important
problem?
story. People need to know. The people need to know. Like, go
But
back to that.
see,
I just want you to go back to that moment, right? I just want you to go back to that moment wherein it seems like nothing was working. What kept you going? Like that moment.
I mean, there have been, I would say there was just one moment in my life that I felt like giving up. I've had several moments. Feeling like giving up is a feeling, but actually giving up, it's no longer a feeling, it's actually a done deal. So I would say I literally gave up 2022, almost into 2023. That's before I found Pitch from Africa. In fact, Pitch from Africa came at the point where I'd given up, you
Hmm.
know. So when I took the offer to co-host, it was just, let it not be like I've just given up totally on everything. Let me just have something to hold on to and just be doing something consistently, right? So I think there was a build up to it. It started from the pandemic, where my dance business crippled because then contact was reduced. I just secured a loan to start my dance business again. I got a studio, trying to arrange everything. And then just to hear that the pandemic kicked in, and then I was not, and the loan was running. So I was paying a loan on something that I was never going to use until the loans were out. In fact, for that, the first 3 months, they gave me a period of time to pay. And then there was still no business because the pandemic was up for close to a year about. So I had to still pay this money. And there was no revenue being made at that period of my life. So it was difficult to pay back the loan. And the banks came. In fact, they increased they increased the percentage,
Oh
for
God.
the period. For every month I didn't pay, there was an increment. Mm. So I spent the whole of 2022 paying off a loan, 2023 paying off a loan. I mean, 2021, 22 paying off a loan that I never got to use. And that was the beginning of my business shutting down. That's the dance business shutting down. Then, of course, the doctor's report for my spine came in saying, Esther, you need to stop dancing, because dance was now going to be
Before
dance that.
before you continue, I want you to like take a moment, right? How did it felt where dance was the only thing that how did you feel receiving a doctor's report to saying you should not dance anymore?
I called their bluff that
Hmm.
first time. And then while I was teaching dance once, my neck kind of like, I had a spasm and my neck just kind of like locked in a class. And that was the beginning of my reality that, you need to stop this thing. You need to actually stop this thing. There may be a cure for it out there, but I don't know. But something that I decided to just stop. And I it was not easy. My family felt the heat. My husband did. My kids did. I was depressed. I cut out of everywhere. I was out of everything. I was just on my own in my head. I think there was some part of my life there too. I stayed away from church as well for 1 year. I didn't care about anybody. I felt nobody cared about me as well. It was just me in my head. Neither did I care about God. So it was painful. It was traumatizing for me. But after a year, a couple of things began to add up. I began to discover different parts of my life that were working, that were impactful, and I began to plunge into self-development and do more of self-development and all of that. And I began to connect back. I lost touch with people for over 2, 3 years. I used to be that social buff. I go connect with people. I wasn't connecting with anyone. I just went on my own. And since I'm the life of the party, I'm the one who keeps people in conversation. It was difficult for people to talk to me now because I was the one keeping the conversation. So I'm no longer keeping the conversation. A lot of conversations just died. So just a few friends who kept looking out for me, and a few friends as well who discovered me during that dark period. And you're one of those few friends as well. And here we are today. You discovered me during that dark period. You didn't even know what you were doing when you gave me a feather to say, hey, come, take this, let's move in and do something remarkable as this. I took it. I'm glad that I wasn't close. I took it. So it was traumatic for me. And what helped me was first and foremost the grace of God, because I would say that I experienced God's grace in areas I didn't expect, in the quality of relationships that I had, and opportunities that came to me like this one, very disguised, that I didn't take lightly, right? So these are things that kept me, because I won't say I was so prayerful. I wasn't. I won't say I fasted 1 year. I didn't. I didn't even want to do anything. I didn't want to stress myself any much more than I already been stressed. And then the startup that I was building, Workish, died because I had run out of personal funds trying to pay off this loan. I ran out of personal funds trying to build the company. I just came out from a program, an accelerator program, one of the toughest as well. I graduated, were about 200 applied. I came in top 54, graduated top 17. And here, my startup was dead at the end of graduation. It just couldn't make sense to me. But I realized that I needed to take care of me first. A lot of things that had to do with my success had to do with my mindset. I needed to get out and take care of myself. So I jumped out of the ship, didn't care who was crashing, what business was crashing. I needed to take care of me. And in taking care of me, I discovered the mental health side passion of myself, knowing that women who are wearing different hats are dealing with different things and need also to come through what I have come out of. They need help to come out of it. So that's where dance therapy came out from. And I was trained. I had a training, for it was a U.S. government training in partnership with an NGO here. I was selected for the training, creative art therapies for gender-based violence, and I began to. That's where the dance therapy thing just dropped in my head, and it became a big deal for me. I was brooding on it, and then did my first. Tried to do one of my very first dance therapy sessions as to mark the end of the event. It was a flop. It didn't work. Nobody came. People came, but it just didn't happen. I still did it again. 6 people came. I did it again. 45 women came. I did it again, and we had a lot of other women come. So that has just been the journey out of it. I mean, I wish I could talk more about this, but this is just a short way of how it went.
Mm.
CD, I hope you are okay now. I've told my story.
No,
I've
no, because you're one of those people that inspire me a lot, right? So I went through some really, really interesting times. I've decided to call my challenges interest. I went through some really, really interesting times last year, and some of those times you actually know about them. And then, but then, pitch room was always like the solace where we just come and then we just get lost into this conversation. And I think one of the reasons why the pitch room was set apart from all of like the many amazing conversations out there that are being hosted by even amazing people is the fact that we were coming in with pain. We were coming from a position wherein we want to understand ourselves. We didn't care about the fact that you're doing hundreds of millions of dollars or you are a superstar, a rock star, whatever it is. We wanted to understand ourselves. We wanted to answer the question, why? And because of that, it means that every single time, if you went, I remember there are moments where both of us will come on the call and it's like, are we doing pitch room this Friday? Should we not push it?
should we just rest today? Can't we
Should we
just
just
rest?
rest? Jesus
Ah,
yesterday. But then we just come on, and we it was incredible how many guests, actually amazing people, saw the importance of what we're doing, and it actually elevated the platform, right? It elevated the platform, becomes one of the top most popular platform weekly conversation. It was just incredible. I could not in any way imagine us doing 50 plus episode every Friday without fail
unthinkable.
in
Unthinkable.
2023 with all of what was happening, by the way. It's not like these things pause outside of our life and say, oh no, Esther, you know what, you're doing pitching right now, I'm going to feel sorry for you with everything that was happening. And it
And see, I think one of the things that that stood out for me were those times that, you know, You didn't even want to show up. You told me I don't, if I had my way, I wouldn't show up. But when you showed up, you didn't even show that you didn't want to show up. Nobody would guess because you wore your hat perfectly well. I think that one of the amazing things that kept me going as well, beyond the challenges that I was going through, was when we were listed as one of the top 10. At the time when it came out, we were one of the top 10 podcasts to listen to. My God,
It was
by Zach's platform, it was so. Is it Zach's platform? No, it's not Zach. You know the guy,
I can't.
Dream VC. Dream VC.
Yeah, when they listed us in top, I think it was they were doing a list of like relevant podcasts or so,
Yeah,
and
we
then
came at top 10. But now the list has been modified because when I was using it as bragging rights sometime in 2023, someone tried to say, "Oh no, you are 21." I'm like, "No." Then when it came out, we were top 10. But now it's just a random list. But
yeah,
man, I don't know if I have a screenshot. We were actually top 10. How does that happen? Two people
and
dealing,
and
but
just so you know, we also were top. I think we were top 20 podcasts in Nigeria for business. Yeah, in the business category, it was really incredible. At one point,
I didn't know that part.
yeah, it was. So when I looked at on Spotify, it was just incredible. And then we had the very first Acquire like in-person live podcast conversation.
See,
It was
that was
just
beautiful.
it was just remarkable. So I know we've caught up a little bit here and there, and our guests will be wondering how long we're going to keep on going. Don't worry, bear with us. we are ending soon. But I wanted to ask you a question. It's something that I already know, but I think it will only be fair that since today we've been exploring your
Again,
journey,
I have it.
that I ask
See,
you
I'm not going to ask you questions. I have trust issues with you, see. Serious trust issues.
what what
Hey, God.
what did what did failing at workish meant to you at the time when you needed it to succeed so bad? What did failing mean to you at that point?
Really?
I mean, but this is what we do to other people that come to our podcast. So it's a good thing that we do it to ourselves.
Well, I can't wait to do it to you. See, it felt like pain. It felt like I let down a lot of people. I spoke to one of my mentors, his father figure, Ali Baba, and I said, "This is what I was doing. This is where I am now.
Hmm.
I don't even know if I'm going to be able to go back there and do what I'm doing." And he just said, "You are not shut down, you are combusting."
Hmm.
And when I listened to that voice note, so you're not shut down, it's still in you. You can do it, but you're combusting. So take your time to combust. It's not in how fast, you know, take your time and just keep being yourself. When the time is right, you'll be able to birth what you want to birth. And that gave me some kind of solace. Because to be honest, CD, each time I see any creative struggling, I feel like I have the answer. Each time I see a talent that is great but not known, I know it ties to what Wakish was trying to do. It's so painful till today. Each time I see a talent that has a chance, a fighting chance at becoming a global talent, I see as in a creative talent, I see that has a chance at becoming a global talent. It just pricks me somewhere. So I haven't been able to, I wouldn't say forgive myself, but it wakes me up every day. I'm combusting. I'm not sure how I'm going to go about it because right now there's a huge part of my life that is about mental health and the startup ecosystem. I'm doing that. I'm just focusing on my life one step at a time. I know that the pieces will make sense soon because the dream I have for Workish has not died. is still there, just waiting for the right time to be expressed. So I'm just waiting for the right time, because even if I have the resources now, I wouldn't do what I did then. I'll build better. Right? I won't just jump into getting a team. The best thing, I won't do all of those things. I won't. I would actually just find one community as a creative community to give value to, and become very, very, very valuable to them, so much that I become a part of their life, that they want me for the rest of their life. Then I know I've built a model, and I can take that and replicate anywhere in the world. I mean, that's one lesson that I wanted to save the whole world. I wanted to save the whole of Africa. I had people around me, but I was looking at Africa. I was looking at doing big things because of what I was hearing. You have to take it. When I hear all this, go to market, go all those things, just keep, all
You're
those
not
things
big
kept
enough,
pushing.
and you're not big enough to scale. All of those
You
things.
get what you're doing, your system is not working. You need to do this. This is more a creative thing. Okay, I even discovered I'm a social enterprise, so that's fine. I don't want to be a unicorn, right? Because
That's fine.
uh,
That's fine.
yeah, because sometimes entrepreneurs, founders want to be a unicorn, and they forget their entrepreneurial DNA. It's totally a social entrepreneur. It doesn't mean you can't build a unicorn as a social entrepreneur. You can, but you need the help of people who can build it, who have driven, like people who build unicorns. I don't have that drive.
Yeah.
I don't have it.
So
So I've
starting
learned a lot. Yeah. So I've learned a lot,
starting
and that would be my value lesson. I'm combusting. That's what failure looked like for me. At the end of the day, that I hadn't actually failed. I'm just saving me, and I'm combusting. That's it.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. It's been such a privilege to have my co-host as a guest as well, an impromptu guest in
And
this
see, I'm chopping your head next.
I,
Hey.
by the way, I tricked her to coming to having this conversation. Right, she had no idea. We had a different plan, so it's such remarkable experience to always listening to your story, Esther. So
Thank you,
thank
Sidi.
on behalf of
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you, everyone. Well, for those of you who are listening and you're watching us, remember the podcast is changing. And as you can see, the conversation is getting even more exciting, but it's going to also get even deeper. And this is the year of the underdog. You can find us on our website at www.pitchroomafrica.com. We are on YouTube now, we are on X. We are basically everywhere. But guess what? We're looking for you, the underdog. We're coming for you. Come to us. Tell us your story. If you built a startup before in the last couple of years, come tell us what is happening now. Did it fail? Let us know. It doesn't mean you're a failure, but we'd like to learn from you. We'd like to understand your story. Why? Because a failing story tells a much more powerful story than a success story. Believe it or not. I have been there. You've listened to Esther, and we are super excited. Yay! Esther, before we
Yes,
go, officially kick off season 2. What should people expect from you?
I think that you should expect. I'm the good cop. There goes the bad cop. This is the bad cop. I'm your guy. I'm your regular chilled, nice, warm person. So this year, expect me to bring my warmth to the platform. Expect me to bring my expertise to the platform. Expect me to be make you laugh. I mean, we always want to do make people laugh in between sessions. It's so important. And just look out for me too on mental check-in for founders. It's another it's another time that I usually wear a different hat. So yeah, this year, just expect the unexpected, as I always say. I am not a fan of everything is programmed. I am open to the detours of life because that's where beauty lies. So, yes, Tidi, that's all from me.
And that's all from us. Thank you for joining us today. Until next time,
Thank you.
goodbye.
Bye, guys.